LinkedIn presents.
Good morning. I'm your host, Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, the show that gives you quick insights from the latest nonfiction books, making it effortless for you to get smarter while sipping your morning coffee. Now, more often than not on this show, we find ourselves talking about psychology or business or relationships. But today, we're going to talk about wood. That's right, wood. While you've been focusing on your screens and your fancy digital user interfaces, good old reliable wood has been there all along, doing overlooked but indispensable work as your desk, your chair, your table. And instead of an academic or a journalist, today we're going to hear from a woodworker, a Scottish master craftsman named Callum Robinson. Callum has written a memoir called Ingrained, The Making of a Craftsman. And it's not just a book about wood, it's a meditation on work, history, family, and our relationship with the natural world. Here's Callum to share some of his big ideas.
Hi, I'm Callum Robinson. And for more than half my life, I have scratched the rewarding, if rather uneven living as a designer and woodworker. Trades I learnt from my father, now one of the UK's foremost master woodcarvers, and that I am lucky enough to share with my wife, with whom I have worked closely for almost 15 years. I've made all manner of things from all manner of woods, for clients that range from local families to some of the world's most iconic luxury brands, in a career that has taken me from a cramped country workshop on the east coast of Scotland to galleries and museums as far afield as London, Paris and Shanghai. I owe a great deal to woodwork, and I firmly believe it's as fine a way to make a living as any you'll find. So I've long searched for a book that brings it to life on the page, something colourful, emotional and sensual, immersing the reader in the largely hidden world of the carpenter, as Anthony Bourdain so memorably did for the chef, perhaps even inspiring one or two to pick up the chisels themselves. But though a handful of excellent publications do exist, I've never been able to find quite what I was looking for. So eventually, I did what I always do when that happens. I tried to make one myself. The result is my first book, Ingrained, The Making of a Craftsman, the story of my unorthodox creative education, of my evolving relationship with my father, and with the work, and a memoir wrapped in a nature book that will, I hope, vividly evoke the joys and challenges of working with your hands in our modern age. In writing it, often in the wee small hours in my workshop, I came to realise there was far more to explore than simply the hands-on business of craft. Things, in many cases, I'd forgotten I knew. And now, to provide a bite-sized taste of Ingrained, I'd like to share some of those insights with you. Wood is more than just a building material. It's a connection to time and place. Whenever I run my hands over a slab of timber, at a sawmill say, where I will often hand-pick boards for projects, I am looking for a variety of things. Size, grain feature and richness of colour, whether it has cracks or splits or rot, the board's density and weight, and the telltale twists of lurking tension. If a tree has spent its life stooped against strong prevailing winds and developed thick muscular tension wood to compensate, a saw cut might begin to close almost immediately around a powerfully spinning blade, and that I do not want. With all these practical considerations tumbling in my head, it's all too easy to forget just what it is that I am really seeing, or indeed, what it is that you are seeing whenever you sit down at a wooden table, or run your own hands over the arm of a wooden chair. Wood isn't just tactile and beautiful. Not to mention the world's most sustainable building material, it's a unique record, like a painstakingly gradual time-lapse photograph. Every difficult year, every drought and every flood, all the minerals and pigments leached up from the particular spot in which it took root, the rippling shadows of a woodworm's pinhole excavations, the relentless effort required to hold up those mighty limbs, and the torturous scarred stains from a barbed wire choker, oh so gradually absorbed. It's all there, folded into the heartwood. Centuries of character, as individual as a fingerprint, written in the figure of the grain and revealed by the teeth of the saw.
I'm Tomer Cohen, LinkedIn's Chief Product Officer. In my new podcast, Building One, I interview some of the best product builders out there. People at the intersection of dreaming and building and learning. Together, you and I will learn from their experiences. If you're just as curious as I am, follow Building One wherever you listen, and check out the conversation on LinkedIn.
There's more to chairs than meets the eye. It's human nature to take the things we see every day for granted, and few objects in our lives have become quite so invisible as the furniture. There's a reason that being part of it is such a well-worn cliché. But if you spend your time designing, making, or repairing furniture, you start to see things differently. Perhaps especially so when you're working in wood. And rarely is this rendered more starkly than with the kind of furniture you may be sitting in right now. Think for a moment about the last time you leaned back deeply in a wooden chair, tilting it up onto two legs perhaps, in a manner that might induce a teacher to shout at you. Just imagine the forces that were at work on the wood and the joints. Tables need really only withstand their own weight, and that of the dinner service, but chairs must be built to withstand the forces of a fully grown adult lounging in them, day after day, year after year, stressing the connections and flexing the timber. To give their construction strength, then, chairs will often need to have as many, if not quite a few more components and joints than the tables they gather around. And that's in addition to being comfortable, ergonomic, lightweight, and elegant. Chunky chairs are not at all the thing. So the business of making chairs is as much an exercise in engineering as it is in furniture design. But no matter how fiendishly tricky they are to create, how many more parts or joints and extra costs, such as upholstery, may be involved in their manufacture, they must be economical too, because, thanks to their scale and ubiquity, the sheer number of alternatives on the market, and the volume it often needs to be bought all at once, the price of a chair is always expected to be a fraction of a good quality table. All of which is to say that although there is almost nothing a furniture maker will ever be called upon to make with the capacity to look quite so beautiful, like all the made objects around us, there's even more to chairs than meets the eye. There has never been a better time to explore the world of design. Right now, today, this minute, there is an almost unimaginable quantity of exciting design work out there. Historical, contemporary, futuristic, sculptural, mechanical, and organic. Work that, just a generation ago, would have been almost impossible to find. Use it. Pore over books and magazines. Get online, read interviews with designers in different fields and discover, if you can, what moves them to do what they do. Scroll, God help you, through social media. Collect, curate, and digitally scrapbook. Train that algorithm to feed you something nutritious for a change. Then get out there and track down physical examples. Learn for yourself that, like iconic artwork and architecture and seriously beautiful people, well-designed and well-crafted objects have a magnetism that can really only be felt in person, and that the more of it you can expose yourself to, the better. Visit exhibitions, galleries, museums and degree shows. Seek out country houses and design stores and expensive hotels. Get out into nature and into the Natural History Museum. In all these places and more, get up close. Get down on your knees if you have to, and look. Really look. Unearth the things you love, the things that speak to you, and ask yourself why they work, not just how. Seek out the seeds of inspiration, hybridize, and nurture your own creative voice, because the world needs all the makers it can get. The true value of handmade is mostly hidden. Handmade has become a pervasive term in recent years, often uttered in the same breath as artisanal and boldly slapped onto scores of consumer products. Generally extravagant claims, in my experience, for things like sandwiches. Nevertheless, despite its ubiquity, for most of us the idea of buying or even commissioning something genuinely handmade from a local craftsperson is still a daunting prospect. It's often a step into the unknown, requiring trust and a good deal of patience. My father's waiting list is currently several years long. Most significantly, of course, compared to buying something off the shelf from a well-known manufacturer, it can be very expensive. But price and value are not the same thing. A finely crafted handmade wooden table, for instance, is more than capable of lasting for hundreds of years. Take good care of it, and your children's children might well be banging their knives and forks on it long after you're gone. And unlike so much of the fast furniture that's churned out these days, not only will you be able to maintain and repair it, should you need to, but critically, because it will mean something to you, you'll actually want to. So it won't end up as yet more landfill. More than that, though, You'll be supporting a maker who may be leveraging thousands of hours of accumulated craft skills they may well pass on, and that we must not lose. You'll be supporting the sawmiller too, and perhaps the tree surgeon who actually felled the tree, and everyone they will ever teach their trades. You'll be investing in the richness, sustainability, pride, and self-reliance of your community. And chances are, for the rest of your life, you'll never need to buy another table. Making things can change your life. When I was a teenager, drifting aimlessly through life, with only the vaguest inkling of what confidence or self-worth really felt like, I had the good fortune to drift into woodwork. Unlike the classroom or the sports field or my booze-blunted social life, becoming engaged in the physical act of creation changed everything for me. In a world full of distraction, it gave me purpose and focus, helping me forget about me for a while, and giving me something I could be genuinely proud of. More than that, I found that making something useful, at times even beautiful for someone else, gave me a way to show them, even if I couldn't tell them, that I cared. Time and again, from the very young to the very old, and no matter how simple the project, I've witnessed the power that making things can have to make people happy. Engaging with the natural world through manual labour speaks to something ancient in all of us, and it's something that can, as unlikely as it sounds, forever change our relationship with the objects around us. So if you've ever harboured dreams of getting your hands dirty, whatever the medium, today's the day to make them a reality. Making things might well change your life too.
Okay, listeners, you can get a copy of Ingrained wherever you get your books. And coming up this week on the next Big Idea Daily, we're going to hear big ideas from books like Likeable Badass, 7 Deadly Sins, and Playing from the Rough. That's a book about the life lessons you can learn from golf. I'm Michael Kovnat. See you tomorrow.